the Saturday morning papers for you right now. Let's have a look at some of the front pages now. Kindness of strangers is the headline of the front of the Weekend. The paper is one of several to lead on a response by business in offering free meals to disadvantaged children in England.
Now, the Telegraph says the National Trust could face an investigation by the Charity Commission for straying from its clear, simple purpose to oversee historic buildings and treasures. It quotes the chair of the charity regulator, who said the Trust shouldn't lose sight of what its members expect.
Let's have a look at the Daily Mail, leading with what it calls the bizarre lockdown measures gripping Britain. The paper says, as Wales begins its second national lockdown, shoppers have been banned from buying non-essential items like clothing and cards.
Have you got something of interest there?
Well, I just saw this little story here. So at the moment, of course, there's a lot of interest in what jobs are available and who's applying for jobs. It's a very difficult time.
Course, yeah.
And this story has emerged that the number of women applying to be train drivers at the biggest train rail operator has doubled. So there's been, over a long period of time now, there's been a problem in recruiting women to be train drivers, and they've said 825 women have applied to be trained as a driver so far this year. And the whole of 2019, it was only 413. So, I mean, they say that over many, many years, there has been a shortage of women who even want to try and train up to do the job. So, I mean, I don't know what that says, but, I mean, it's people who are looking for work, number one, but it feels like a bit of a change.
Yeah, and we also want to see how many there are in total.
Yeah, I mean, they're seeking, like a lot of other places, the 50-50 gender split. But, you know, it's one of those roles which I think they've really struggled to recruit.
Because it's traditionally been seen one for men. Tim Peake, I like Tim Peake a lot. And so we've spoken a lot to Tim Peake on the programme. And he's hoping to be the oldest person to reach the moon because the European mission has been laid out. So he was the first UK astronaut to visit the International Space Station. We spoke to him, didn't we, when he came back? And he's obviously spoken a lot about his ambitions. But now, yeah, definitely, he's saying his name is still in the frame. We won't have Europeans in the first return, but yes, absolutely.
How old would he be? Does it break down that when it might happen? How old would he be?
He would be in his 50s if he manages to touch down on the moon in the coming years. So he would be the oldest person ever to do so. The oldest person who walked on the surface was 47 years old, and that was the American Alan Shepard.
And as we all know, being in your 50s is not old at all, is it? I mean, there's nothing...
Here's a summary of the main stories. Wales begins its first full day of lockdown today. Non-essential shops and businesses have been forced to close. People are only allowed to travel for a limited number of reasons.
Meanwhile, around 7 million people across northern England are now having to follow the country's highest level of coronavirus measures, after South Yorkshire became the latest area to move into the very high tier. That happened at midnight.
Dozens of businesses and community groups have given their support to Marcus Rashford's campaign to feed disadvantaged children during the school holidays. The footballer has called them the superheroes of the nation after a Labour proposal to extend the meals beyond term time in England was voted down. The government says that they've provided substantial support to families facing difficulties.
Head teachers in England say they're bitterly disappointed the number of laptops they're given to deprived children has been cut by 80%. One school says it will receive 66 computers rather than the 332 it was promised. The government says the devices will be sent to the areas of greatest need. They should be reallocated as children go in and out of self-isolation.
Plans to scrap tax-free shopping at airports could cause wholly unnecessary job losses in the aviation sector, according to a group of MPs. From January, shops at airports will no longer be able to sell items like perfumes and electronics to international passengers. The cross-party Future of Aviation group has urged the Chancellor to reverse the decision. The Treasury said the lower prices were not consistently passed on to consumers.